भारतीय शिक्षण मंडल उत्तर असम प्रांत। आप सभी का स्वागत है। In the beginning, I would like to invite Dr. Dhruva Chakrabarty, Honorable Principal of our college, to present his welcome address. But before that, I would like to request all of you to please mute your microphone to avoid the background noise. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Yes, sir.
Namaskar, Suprabhat. First of all, I would like to welcome all the participants to this webinar organized by Internal Quality Assurance Cell of BN College Dhubri in collaboration with Bharatiya Shikshan Mandal Uttar Assam Prant. I specially welcome Srijut Mukul Kanitkar ji, Sangathan Mantri Bharatiya Shikshan Mandal in this webinar and express our gratitude to him for agreeing to act as resource person in this webinar. Namaskar, sir. I also thank Dr. Bibhas Das Purakayastha, Margdarshak Bharatiya Shikshan Mandal, Uttar Assam Prant, and Dr. Nil Mohan Rai, President, Uttar Assam Prant, for helping us in organizing this webinar. We all know on 29th July, Union Cabinet approved the National Education Policy 2020, which has the power to revolutionize the educational system in India. This can be considered as the first step towards dematerialization of our education system, which has ruined the Bharatiya Dhara of education since 1835, if it is implemented properly. We are happy that the person who worked very closely with the team which is responsible for NEP 2020, Srijut Mukul Kanitkar ji, is with us to share his view in this regard. Altogether, 5 principals of various colleges of Assam, more than 200 faculty from different colleges, more than 200 students and research scholars, and about 20 educational administrators registered for this webinar. I trust we all will enjoy the deliberation and interactions. Once again, welcoming you all, I would like to conclude. Thank you.
Thank you, Principal Sir. Swami Vivekananda believed that education should lead to man making and nation building. And so the teachers are the key persons in this case, definitely. I'm very happy to share you all that my guru, my teacher, Dr. Bibhas Chandra Das Purakayastha sir is with us today. We are really honored that sir accepted our invitation to inaugurate the program. Though he is a very known person to all of us, but it is my privilege to introduce him with you all once again. Dr. Bibhas Das Purakayastha is the former principal of Pandu College, Guwahati, Assam. He has been awarded the most prestigious Rotary Award, the Vocational Service Leadership Award for his contribution in education and literacy in the year 2016. Sir is also a court member of Bodoland University. Dr. Das Purakayastha is one of the Margdarshak of Bharatiya Shikshan Mandal. Sir, may I now request you to please inaugurate the program and speak a few words for us.
থ্যাংক ইউ সুস্মিতা। যদি এই পৃথিবীতে এমন কোনো দেশ থাকে যাকে পুণ্যভূমি নামে বিশেষিত করা যেতে পারে, যদি এমন কোনো স্থান থাকে যেখানে মানুষের ভেতর ক্ষমা, দয়া, পবিত্রতা, শান্তভাব প্রভৃতি সদ্গুণের বিকাশ সবচেয়ে অধিক পরিমাণে হয়েছে, যদি এমন কোনো দেশ থাকে যেখানে সর্বাপেক্ষা অধিক আধ্যাত্মিকতা ও অন্তর্দৃষ্টির বিকাশ হয়েছে, তবে নিশ্চিন্তভাবে বলতে পারি সে আমার মাতৃভূমি, এই ভারতবর্ষ, বলেছেন স্বামীজি। সুপ্রভাত, ladies and gentlemen. boys and girls. Welcome everyone for your interest to know about NEP 2020. It shows that your mindset of wanting a change for last 34 years. A change that is much needed to set up a Bharatiya Shiksha in education system. We are fortunate that Mukulji has agreed to come to this webinar. इनका प्रस्फुटन तो नागपुर में हुआ था, फिर विकास इनका कन्याकुमारी का हुआ था, घर वापसी हो गया फिर नागपुर में, और वहां में वो ध्यान में बैठे 2012 साल से ध्यान में बैठे। लक्ष्य क्या थे? तो लक्ष्य थे उनका भारतीय सिस्टम ऑफ एजुकेशन। बिलीव मी, ये 8 साल मुकुल जी पूरा स्टडी किया भारतीय शिक्षण, और ही इज ए लिविंग एनसाइक्लोपीडिया ऑफ भारतीय शिक्षा। बहुत सारे किताब लिखे, बहुत कुछ लिखे। सुष्मिता कुछ तो बताएंगे जरूर, फिर भी मेरा भी मन करते है कुछ तो बोले। आप भी जो 2020 NEP आप सुनेंगे, उसमें बहुत सारे चिंता इनको खोद है। एक किताब लिखे थे 2015 साल में, भारतीय शिक्षण रूपरेखा, और सारे लैंग्वेजेस में, ऑल इंडियन लैंग्वेजेस, ये छाप दिया था। हम लोग भी छापा, फीडबैक भी लिया, और ऐसे हुआगा। ऐसे सारे हजारों नहीं लाखों में ये प्रचार हुआ था। सो दैट इज हाउ वी आर फॉर्चुनेट इनफ। मुकुल जी आज तो कुछ हम लोग को मिलेगा, हायर एजुकेशन में बताएंगे। फिर एक मुकुल जी के जानकारी लिए, धुबरी इज ए हिस्टोरिकली फेमस प्लेस, इज ए आइकन ऑफ culture, tradition and integration, be it in language, be it in songs, or be it in terracotta making. ये जो लैंग्वेज का सिस्टम है, दिस इज इन द बॉर्डर ऑफ बंगाल एंड असम, एंड यू विल फाइंड दैट देयर इज अ मिक्सिंग, एक्सेप्टेबिलिटी हियर, इंटीग्रेशन। और मेरा संजीव सन्नाल, प्रिंसिपल इकोनॉमिक एडवाइजर को नवंबर में मिलने का गुवाहाटी में कोशिश हुआ। he has said, narrated, जहां में ऐसे इंटीग्रेशन होते हैं, एक्सेप्टेबिलिटी आते हैं, प्रोग्रेस वहां बहुत होती है। तो ये धुबरी जो स्थान है, इसमें कोई नहीं आया है। वो नेताजी सुभाष आया है, स्वामी विवेकानंद तो माँ को लेके यहाँ उतरे, महात्मा गांधी आया है, कौन नहीं आया है? इंडिया का सारे फेमस लोग आए थे, गुरु नानक जी आए थे, तेग बहादुर, ये सारे सिख ईसाई सारे कुछ यहाँ आए थे। रिच कल्चरल हेरिटेज। एंड BN कॉलेज was established just 4 months after my birth. It was in the month of August 1946. 4 दिन बाद को you are going to celebrate your platinum jubilee or what?
Yes sir.
मुकुल जी, ये आपका प्लैटिनम जुबिली का स्पीच होगा, समझे कि नहीं? They have completed 75 years after 4 days. They are going to complete this thing. ध्रुवों ने नहीं बताया, लेकिन ये बहुत अच्छा बात है। इसलिए मेरा लगता है ये BN कॉलेज जो है ना, BN कॉलेज का बहुत ऊपर जाना है। It should be a center of excellence. आप लोग IDP तैयार करे, बहुत ऊंचा IDP, ये रिसर्च यूनिवर्सिटी होने का IDP होना चाहिए। और मेरा लगता है आज मुकुल जी का जो भाषण होगा, इसी डायरेक्शन में कुछ डायरेक्टिव तो आपको मिल जाएगा। बहुत सारे इनॉग्रेशन को बात नहीं होते हैं, फिर भी मुझे लगता है ये लोग बहाना करके इनॉग्रेट बना दिया मुझे, ऐसे इनॉग्रेशन क्या होता है, फिर भी मैं थोड़ा बोलने का कोशिश किया है। और यहाँ को धुबरी को जो लिटरेट मास है, सारे मास है, हमारा उड़ीसा ऑफ BSM सारे BN कॉलेज का साथ है। That BM college should exceed in the coming decade. It should become a great college. With this, I formally inaugurate the webinar. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. It is always nice to hear from you, sir. Today we are really very thankful to Uttarassam Pranta Bharatiya Shikshan Mandal for their help to organize this webinar. I feel privileged to share you that Dr. Nilmohan Roy, President of the Prant, is with us today. Dr. Roy is the former associate professor in Assamese, Andu College, Guwahati. 10 MPhil and 14 PhD scholars have received their degree under the supervision of Dr. Roy. He is the author of 16 books and several articles in various journals and periodicals. Sir, I would like to request you to please speak a few words for us, highlighting the activities of Bharatiya Shikshan Mandal, Uttarassam Prant. Over to you, sir. Roy, sir. Sir, Roy, sir.
ऐसा है कि नहीं, देखो तो।
Sir, yes, he is here.
Unmute. Tell him to unmute.
Sir, he is unmuted.
हाँ,
Sir.
नीलमोहन बोलो।
Roy, sir.
Sir, Biva sir, apuni unmute hoy goise. Biva sir, apuni mute hoy goise. Mute.
Sir, Viva sir.
I think his audio is troubling him. We can proceed when he comes back after Mukulji. No?
Okay, sir.
I'm calling him.
Okay, sir. So, respected participants, we are really lucky enough that Srijit Mukul Kanitkar sir, the Sanghatan Mantri of Bharatiya Shikshan Mandal, is with us today. So, welcome you once again, sir. He has conducted several workshops on personality development, research for national resurgence in IIT Delhi, IIT Roorkee, JNU, Delhi University, and so on. He trained and motivated more than 29,000 school students to perform Mars Surya Namaskar at Gwalior in 2005 to create a world record duly entered in the Guinness World Record. Mukulji is an erudite author and a great orator who has penned numerous books as mentioned by Vibhas sir. A great thinker, a Jivan Brati for Bharatiya Shikshan Mandal. Sir, I would like to request you to please start your speech. We are eagerly waiting to hear you, sir. Sir, please unmute yourself first. Thank you, sir.
Sushma ji, Dhruva ji, Vibhasda, Nilmohan ji, and everybody else who is present here, sisters and brothers. I will start with the Dheya Shloka of Bharatiya Shikshan Mandal. Tatkarmayanna bandhaya savidyaya vimuktaye ayasaya param karma vidyanya shilpanay punam. This beautiful couplet describes what education should be. It is a definition of education given in Vishnu Purana. Education is that which liberates. It says that action is only that which does not bind, and education is that which liberates. All other actions are mere efforts without effect. And all other education which does not liberate is nothing but just artisanry. So this is how education is defined in Bharat. We look at education as a complete comprehensive process of character building. It is not just enabling human being to be a good earner, bread earner. केवल रोजगार के लिए शिक्षा, केवल एम्प्लॉयमेंट के लिए शिक्षा is not the Bharatiya way of looking at things. In Bharat, we look at education as a complete comprehensive personality development, not just at the individual level but at the societal level also. So for us, education is not just man making, as Swami Vivekananda puts it, man with capital M, but it is also nation building. So a human being only having very good qualities and attributes and personality, both at the physical level, mental level, emotional level, intellectual level, will not suffice. He should be able to adjust, he should be able to contribute in the society, and he should be a nation builder. He should be contributing to the nation building process also. इसलिए राष्ट्र निर्माण के लिए व्यक्ति निर्माण. We have to understand this. It is not just Vyakti Nirman and Rashtra Nirman. It is not just character building and nation building. It is character building for nation building. We have to understand the difference between the two. And hence, when we are talking about the national education policy, when you say NEP 2020, many of us are not giving the right long form. Many of us are calling it new education policy. It is a new policy, come just 10 days back, 15 days back. That's why it is new, no doubt, but it is named as National Education Policy. So NEP 2020 is National Education Policy 2020. It is national in real sense. यह राष्ट्रीय शिक्षा नीति है, केवल पूरे भारत की है, अखिल भारतीय है, इसलिए राष्ट्रीय नहीं है. Akhamya you say Jatiya, so it is national. It is Jatiya in the real sense. It is a Rashtriya in real sense. Real sense means at the spirit level also, at the bhava level also it is Rashtriya. And at the democratic level also it is Rashtriya. In the whole world, there is no other policy, not just education. There is no other policy which has such consultative process, such vast consultative process. We can't just imagine what kind of consultations have gone into this process, because it started in 2015, 17th January 2015. That was the date on which the first press conference was held at the then Education Minister Smriti Iraniji's residence. And in that press conference, the government gave 33 points. A 33-point agenda was put before the public, and the people were asked to contribute, give their opinion on what should be the education policy. At that time, they said new education policy. At that time, NEP meant new education policy. So the consultation process started on mygov.in, that portal, and also on the ministry's portal. And through 5 years of consultation, crores of people, billions of people contributed. It is a marvelous work. More than 1.25 lakh villages consulted. They conducted some program or the other in the Gram Panchayat, in which public contributed what kind of an education they want. So anywhere in the world, you don't find such a mass level consultation. इतना विस्तृत विमर्श किसी भी नीति के लिए विश्व में आज तक नहीं हुआ है. It is the first time that such a massive consultation has happened. The people who have contributed to formation of this education policy, the number of people exceed the population of more than 130 countries. 130 countries do not have population as much as the people who have contributed to this education policy. Can we see the massiveness of this education policy, the acceptance of this education? And that's why for the last 12-13 days we have the education policy already approved by the central cabinet, but there is hardly any kind of real opposition. There is opposition for the sake of opposition, but point wise, these are the points that we oppose. None, not a single point has come out which says that this policy says so and so and this will affect something adversely. That kind of an acceptance all across the country is unprecedented for any policy. And one of the very important reasons for this kind of acceptance, universal acceptance of the policy, the questions that are being asked are about the implementation. How will you implement? Like in higher education, they have said 3 types of institution. Restructuring the types of institution, that's what the policy has said. So people are saying, how are you going to implement these 3 types of institution formula? Teaching institution, research institution, and an institution which will have both teaching and research. What will happen to our college? People are interested in implementation. They are not worried about the provisions of the policy. They accept that these provisions are good. They say these are very ideal provisions. They say it is so idealistic, it will be difficult to implement. That is the success of this policy. When people start talking about implementation, this is a different level of acceptance that this policy has got. So there is a complete revamping and restructuring of higher education that has happened, already happened. Because the policy is in practice now. Laws will be enacted because they have said single regulator, governance structure is changed. The words used by the policy are light but tight regulation. So the governance structure has changed. Instead of multiple bodies, at present we have more than 17 bodies, regulatory bodies, which regulate the higher education scenario. Now they have said except the Bar Council and the MCI, all of these bodies will merge into one higher education commission. We had been demanding a national education commission. हम राष्ट्रीय शिक्षा आयोग की डिमांड कर रहे थे, मांग कर रहे थे. राष्ट्रीय शिक्षा आयोग हम जिसमें स्कूल एजुकेशन को भी साथ में लेना चाह रहे थे, लेकिन सरकार ने अभी उसको नहीं माना है. राष्ट्रीय शिक्षा आयोग ड्राफ्ट में था कस्तूरीरंगन समिति के, लेकिन शासन को लगा कि अभी द टाइम हैज नॉट कम फॉर अ नेशनल एजुकेशन कमीशन. सो द गवर्नमेंट हैज नॉट एक्सेप्टेड द नेशनल एजुकेशन कमीशन, बट हायर एजुकेशन कमीशन ऑफ इंडिया, दैट इज HECI, they have already accepted, and it will be enacted, and it will replace UGC, AICTE, NCTE, all these regulatories, different regulatory bodies. Even the NAC will come under this HECI, and this HECI will be a single regulator. This is a very great step towards integration of education. We have been talking about integrated policy. जिस पुस्तक का भारतीय शिक्षण रूपरेखा का उल्लेख विभास दा ने किया, भारतीय एजुकेशन आउटलाइड इन इंग्लिश, it is available on our website bsmbharat.org. You can go there and download it. It's a 40-page document which enlists the subtitle of the small tagline behind the below the title on this book is writes comprehensive or holistic and integrated education policy, Samagra or Ekatma Shiksha Niti. So that's what we were looking at. We were expecting that this country, after 73 years of independence, wants an integrated education policy. That was what made Bharat Vishwaguru. The whole world was coming to Bharat for knowledge. They used to put a waiting list in Nalanda, Takshashila and many other places, Vikramashila. Thousands of universities, lakhs of universities in 1823, more than 1.13 lakhs, 1.13 lakh centers of higher education in just Bombay Presidency. That is what the report of 1823 says. So these kind of higher education institutes were attracting people from all over the world who used to come here for knowledge. And last 200 years, it has been the reverse process. Our brain is draining. Our best brain, best talent is going out of this country. This education policy, National Education Policy 2020, aims at reversing the trend. So one chapter in higher education part 2 is higher education. In that part 2, there is one chapter, I think chapter 12 or 13, which says internationalization of education. This internationalization of education is chapter, there is a chapter on internationalization which talks about allowing top 100 universities from the world to open their campuses here. But at the same time, it also talks about how to increase the admissions of foreigners into our own universities, our own colleges. Your Dhubri college can have foreign students now after this policy is implemented. They are going to start special centers for that. So, Bharat again becomes a center of knowledge for the whole world. That is the idea. In English draft of the policy, the English document of the policy also speaks about Vishwaguru. The word Vishwaguru is used in English also. So Bharat again becomes the world leader in knowledge. That is the outlook with which this policy has tried to restructure the whole higher education field. Not just teaching, research and mixed teaching and research. Another holistic approach is the multidisciplinary approach. Till now we have been thinking about everything, all the education in compartments. Science is different from arts, arts is different from commerce, commerce and all these three are different from engineering and medical and all that. This policy talks about multidisciplinary holistic approach. Number one, it talks about Meru. In national level, something like IIT is institution of national importance, which will be the multidisciplinary institutes. The name is given Multidisciplinary Education and Research University, Meru, M-E-R-U, Meru. These Merus will be established in almost all the states and in the longer run at the district level. Multidisciplinary approach is the watchword. There are more.
मुकुल जी आप म्यूट हो गए. मुकुल जी आप म्यूट हो गए.
सर मुकुल जी आप म्यूट हो गए सर. Sir, you becomes muted here, sir.
It was auto muted. I don't know how it happened.
Yes, sir.
45,000 total colleges in the country. Almost 20,000, more than 19,000 colleges are standalone colleges, single subject colleges today. Like the B.Ed college. There will be a B.Ed college, it will only have education faculty and it will only have some 100 students doing B.Ed, some 30 students doing M.Ed and that kind of a college. Almost 18,000 colleges are B.Ed colleges, single subject college. Now this policy says this won't be allowed. You will have to merge with a multidisciplinary college, or you will have to form a cluster, or you will have to form a complex of institutes. But the whole education, they have given some 5 to 10 years of period for doing that. It is not going to happen the next day. But slowly all the institutes will become multidisciplinary. Not only that, this system of affiliated colleges also they want to, by 2032, almost in 10 years, 1 decade, this policy looks at a vision in which there will be no affiliated college. All colleges will be degree-giving autonomous institutions. The colleges which are bigger colleges with good number of students and with multidisciplinary approach, multi-faculty approach, have multiple disciplines and multiple faculties, will itself become an autonomous institution which will be degree-giving institution. There will be no affiliated colleges in the longer run, maybe in 10 years. For that, cluster universities have already started. There are cluster universities that have been formed. Some 10, 15, 20 colleges coming together and forming a cluster university. This cluster and complex approach of restructuring the institutions. So number of institutions may come down, but the quality will go up. So this multidisciplinary approach is a very important thing, a holistic approach of education in higher education it has taken. Not just at the institutional level or governance level, केवल मैनेजमेंट या प्रबंधन के स्थान पर ही यह समग्रता का विचार नहीं हुआ है. Even at the syllabus level, even at the course content level, this multidisciplinary approach and this holistic approach is evident in this policy. So this holistic and integrated approach towards higher education, starting from single regulator, starting from restructuring of institutions into autonomous degree-giving multidisciplinary institutes. There are 5 points I have given in that restructuring of institution. And the third point which I come, single regulator at the national level, that is point number 1 towards integration and holistic approach. Point number 2 is restructuring of all the institutes into multidisciplinary holistic institutions and starting new institutions in the name of Meru, which will be multidisciplinary in education and research universities. So this is the second point, that is restructuring. Within that restructuring of institution, there are 5 points. And the third point in the holistic and integrated approach is the way they are looking at the course content, looking at the syllabus. They have said that the syllabus has to be holistic. So even if you are studying engineering, a professional course or medical course, today we are complaining that we are producing good engineers, but they are not good human beings. We are producing good doctors, they may be proficient in their medical knowledge, but whether they are good human beings, sensitive human beings or not is the problem. And that's why we get every day in the government hospital how to talk to the patient's relatives and all that. Such problems are there everywhere in the country. Why? Because the doctors are not being taught the other skills, communication skills, soft skill, the humanitarian part of it, the sociology of the area and things like that. Professional becomes a lopsided single subject expert. This approach is being changed in this policy. The policy says 50% of the syllabus will be a common holistic syllabus. What they have called liberal education, not liberal arts. Liberal arts is different, liberal education is different. There was objection to the word liberal because the liberal is left-leaning word, and that's why it has created lots of problems in JNU-like institutions. This leftist liberal mindset has created an anti-national mindset also. And that's why it is a problematic word. But in the policy, this has been used as a holistic approach towards syllabus. 50% of the syllabus will be of engineering, will be of medical, whatever special subject you are taking. Say you are doing masters and doing graduation as a major in physics. That is good. But some part you will have to study, a 50% of syllabus, you will have to study about literature, you will have to study about the social practices, you will have to study about the responsibilities and the directive principles of the Constitution, which talk about the fundamental duties of the citizen. You will have to study that, you will have to study about the banking and finance, you will have to study about those principles which are very, very useful for your life, like communication skill, like languages and things like that. So you will not just be expert in your own subject, you will be having a vast holistic knowledge about how to go about in the life. So when you are becoming a mechanical engineer or an automobile engineer, at the same time you will know something about how to get mudra loan, how to get a startup or stand-up loan and create your own industry. So the holistic approach leading to a very, very different kind of empowering approach, not entitling approach. So Macaulay said, I have created an education system. He wrote to his father in 1835 after creating this British education system, which we are still following. Macaulay said, I have created an education system in which we will be getting good servants for the British Raj. Clerks, he used the word clerks and servants, who will be loyal to the British Raj. So the whole education system was structured to create employees and not the employers. So we have created an education system in which lakhs and lakhs and crores of people, job seekers are produced every year, and they are going about begging for jobs. भगवान के नाम पे दे दे, अल्लाह के नाम पे दे दे, एक नौकरी दे दे, सरकारी मिल जाए तो बहुत अच्छा, नहीं तो कम से कम प्राइवेट दे दे. Our graduates are beggars for jobs, and our institutions also boast, we have a placement cell, we did so much placement. So what is placement? How many employers you created, how many job givers you have created. So this holistic approach towards the course content, this holistic approach towards syllabus changes this mindset of employment orientation. It gives you a self-employment orientation. It gives the student an approach of be a job giver. You will be respected more if you can give job to 10 people, 20 people, 50 people, rather than a beggar for job, a job seeker. So this is what Atmanirbhar Bharat we are talking about in this COVID era. That package which was given for the COVID was named as Atmanirbhar Bharat. That Atmanirbharata will come, that self-reliance will come if we produce job givers rather than job seekers. So this holistic approach, this multidisciplinary approach is the second part that I want to emphasize. First was the nationalist approach, the Rashtriya approach, the Bharat-centric approach. Then second is the holistic approach. The holistic approach, integrative approach, right from governance to the multidisciplinary and holistic syllabus. Then the third most important part is the flexible approach. The rigidity of our structure, right from the 10th standard, which starts after completion of 10th board. The student has to decide which stream I will go, science stream or art stream or commerce stream. And that is the first confusion the parents and the students have to face right at the 10th board level. This education system, right from 9th onwards, 9 to 12, that is higher school education, from that to the higher education part, the graduation and post-graduation part, has complete flexible approach towards structure. Streams have been abolished. You are not rigidly put into streams. Like you are interested in mathematics and physics, at the same time you are interested in literature or dramatics, like our Nirmohan Roy ji. You are interested in languages, at the same time you are interested in mathematics. In today's structure, you cannot have both. In the present, in this policy, NEP 2020, this national education policy gives a flexible approach, flexibility of choice of subjects, this major and minor. You can have physics major doing your BSc, at the same time in the minor you can have classical music, you can have arts, you can have economics, you can have management, you can have some 3-4 subjects as your minors according to your own interest. This will give a totally different approach. Vibhasda knows, one of our Karyakartas, one of our past presidents of BSM Uttar Assam, he being a Sanskrit scholar, when his son said, I am not going to study after 12 because I am interested in music, the father was devastated. He was a professor, he was a principal of a college, and his son said, no, I am interested in music, I will discontinue my studies. I will not even do graduation because I am not interested. I am interested in guitar, I am interested in the music, the technical music part of it. And Vibhasda had to do the counseling part. I know, I went with Vibhasda, and that's why we know how difficult it was to convince the parents, not just the child. And today he is earning lakhs of rupees just doing music for Bollywood, technical side of music for Bollywood. In this new flexible approach, such student can take music as their major and Sanskrit or some other subject as their minor and do their BA. So he won't have to discontinue his studies for pursuing his passion. His passion can be converted into graduation. This is how GER will reach 50%. Gross enrollment ratio of the higher education they have targeted by 2035, it must reach 50%. 50% of the population between 18 to 22 age group. If it has to come to the graduation level, college level, you have to have this flexible approach. So flexible approach in the choice of subjects. And this also changes one of the very important part, which I will come in the next the fourth point of my deliberation. In this flexible part, I will emphasize on another very important provision which the NEP, which is a drastic revolutionary change that is going to happen in higher education, is the multiple entry, multiple exit. Vibhasda and Nil Mohanji and all our Karyakartas must be remembering, in our downtown university function in which Smriti Irani came, in that function, in my lecture itself, I had said this. This is part of our document Bharatiya Education Outline also, and I said it in front of Smriti Irani. I said, if you have this approach that you give certificate if somebody has to discontinue after first year, if he or she studies only for 2 years of graduation and discontinues, give him a diploma. If he completes 3 years, give him pass degree. If he completes 4 years, give him honors degree. And if he has an honors BA or honors BSc with a major in some subject, he can do post-graduation in 1 year. If he has a pass degree, he can do post-graduation in 2 years. I had said to Smriti Irani ji, if this flexible system was available during your time, because she completed in BCom second year and had to discontinue because of Saas Bhi Kabhi Bahu Thi. So when she became minister, she was just 12th pass, because present rules, the structure before NEP 2020 says, if you have not completed 3 years of graduation and if you are discontinued for more than 2 years, again you will have to do it from first year. In the structure which NEP gives now, Smriti Irani continues after BCom second year, she would get a diploma in commerce. And after 20 years, she can go to the third year and complete her degree. This is now flexible entry, multiple exit. That is what NEP 2020 gives. The whole syllabus will have to be restructured. First year certificate course will have to be a complete, comprehensive 2-semester course. Restructuring will happen of syllabus. 2 years of graduation will be a diploma course. It will be restructured into a 4-semester diploma course. Look at the approach of flexibility, and the credit system, choice-based credit system, gives another flexibility. So you may not have some subjects in your college, but the student can go to some other institute and get the credit. So this flexibility is completed with a digital locker kind of a thing. In that locker, the credit bank will be created. And this academic credit bank is a marvelous, revolutionary idea of flexibility. Any knowledge I gain from anywhere will not be wasted. There will be no wastage. I can get credit for doing an online course. This Coursera.edu is one of the very popular website world over. If you have not visited, I will request all the academicians to visit Coursera, Coursera, Coursera.edu. It's an American website. It is the second such website. First, Khan Academy started, and after Khan Academy, Coursera was started. It has got millions of courses. You can do any course. Most of them are free of cost for learning. If you want a certificate, then you have to pay the fees and give examination. If you don't want a certificate or diploma, most of the courses you can do free of cost. I did many courses on Coursera. I did course in VLSI, which is not my subject. Very large scale integration of electronics, chips. I studied LLB. So that was not my course. But just because of interest, these mobiles, how they work, I wanted to know. So I did VLSI course from MIT. That is Marshall Institute of Technology from America, one of the best institutes in technology in the world. That MIT course is available on Coursera. So on Coursera, now I did it for myself. If I take a certificate in the NEP 2020 structure, I will get some 10 credit, 12 credits or 6 credit for that course. Those credit will be added to my bank, academic credit bank. And that will help me complete my graduation, post-graduation without any rigidity of attending for 2 years, continuously doing it for 2 years. So it gives a complete openness to this educational pursuit. And the last point, which is very important, and I will conclude with that, and then if there are some questions I can take. This national education policy completely changes the outlook towards the pedagogy of education, the methodology of education. I have always been saying, and when I go to faculty development programs or teachers orientation program, I specifically say this, and I have said it so many times. Many of you must have said, listened to me earlier also. I always say, teaching is impossible. Nobody can teach anybody. I will again repeat, most of you are teachers. So this may come as a shock to you when I say this, but this is a fact of life. You cannot teach anyone. Only learning is possible. So the whole process of education is learning process, not teaching process. What we call teaching is in fact assisting the learning. Nowadays they are using the word facilitating the learning, but that is not the right word. It has to be motivating the learning, if need be forcing learning. But teaching is not possible. You cannot teach anybody. That's why Radhakrishnan ji said a teacher has to be a learner. If you have 36 students in your class, you are the 37th student, Radhakrishnan ji said. Not the first, 37th student. So a teacher has to be a learner. The whole approach, teaching-centric approach, has created a complete apathy about education. Why students do not want to come to schools and colleges? Why don't they want to attend the classes? Why do you need to have a 75% compulsory attendance rule? Why do you need that? Why students are not interested in coming to the classes? Because of this teaching centric approach. I always ask, what is higher in higher education? Whatever you are doing in school, you are doing the same thing in higher education. Same blackboard, same chalk. Now instead of black, you have whiteboard, and instead of chalk, you have sketch pens. Only, or if you may have smart boards, you may show PPTs. But what is the difference in your lecturing? You are lecturing, that's all. In the timetable, there is a provision for tutorials. These many, every week, these many lectures will be there, and some 2 or 3 tutorials will, some 20% tutorials has to be there. That is the mandate UGC gives. But how many of higher education professors, assistant professor, associate professors really know the difference between lecture and a tutorial? Are we having this participatory approach of learning? This national education policy completely changes. It does the Shirshasana is corrected. The paradigm shift is there. Now the whole onus of learning is on the students now. The student has to get the credit. So the responsibility is on the student. It is a learning centric approach that is put into higher education, even in the school education after 9th standard. The whole approach is not just student centric, not just learner centric. I am not talking about learner centric approach. I am talking about learning centric approach. It has to be teacher centered, but the process has to be learning. So the whole approach has become learning centric. This pedagogical change is what will make it Gurukula. Gurukula is not huts. Gurukula is not sannyasi. Gurukula is a pedagogy. Gurukula is a methodology. The methodology is learning centric methodology. The guru will never teach. In Upanishads, you will find the students ask a question. In reply to the question, the teacher will ask another question. He will make the student learn. He will not teach the student. That learning centric approach is one of the very important features of this education policy. And that's why they have given very much importance to teachers, recruitment, teachers, training, teachers, education. Even at the higher education level, this initiation induction program has been started. Earlier, what happened, B.Ed is to be done for school teaching. You have to learn the pedagogy and you have to learn the child psychology and everything. But for a college lecturer to become a lecturer, there was no need to learn the pedagogy. Earlier, you used to complete any NET or SLET, or nowadays PhD is, they have made it compulsory. After you complete your PhD in some subject, you are expert of that subject, but you don't know the pedagogy, the learning methodology. The classroom techniques you do not know. In higher education, it was not there. You will learn through experience. That's what was expected. You go to the class and start teaching, start lecturing the student, and from your experience, you will learn how to make them learn. So that was the approach. This education policy says no. Every new recruit in higher education as an assistant professor will have to undergo minimum 3 months of residential induction program, 3 to 6 months. The quality of teachers has been given a lot of emphasis in this education policy, because quality of teacher will determine the quality of education, and quality of education will determine the status of your society. And that kind of a knowledge status of the society will determine the future of the nation. So everything boils down to the teachers. So this is a fantastic revolutionary national education policy that has been given to us by one of the greatest rishis of our time, K. Kasturi Ranganji. At the age of 78, Dada will be 75 now. He informed indirectly to all of us, not just your college, Dada will also be becoming 75. So he will be entering the 4th ashrama. He is also a living Rishi. I call him Rishi. Not just in front of him, more so when he is not there. In front of him, I have not said, I think it was for the first time I am saying this, that I consider him as a Rishi. Kasturiranganji also is a Rishi, a practicing Rishi. And he has given us a beautiful education policy, a beautiful document. But that document will remain document if we teachers decide not to implement. Narendra Modi cannot implement NEP 200. Ramesh Chandra Pokhriyal Nishank cannot implement it. Hemanta Vishwa Sharma cannot implement it. It has to be implemented by all of us. We have to implement it. We, the teachers, will have to implement it. And that's why we, the teachers, have to understand this paradigm shift. This change of attitude has to come in the teacher. The change of attitude that this document of NEP says, the change of attitude of the document has to come to the change of attitude of the teacher, and then only NEP will become an actual practice. Let us all do that. That appeal and request with folded hands to all the teachers. I end my deliberation of.
If there is time and if there are questions, I can take a few. If there is time.
Sir, can we take a few questions?
Yes.
Yes.
একটু বলতে পারবো এখন?
Okay. Right, sir.
হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ
Okay, sir, we were waiting for you. Okay, sir, please carry on, sir. And then we will take the questions. So I request the participant friends that if you have any query to Mukulji, then please write the questions in the chat box. Right, sir, please carry on, sir.
না আমি তো যথাসময়ে উপস্থিত থাকতে পারলাম না, সেই জন্য কানেকশনটা খারাপ হয়ে গেছিল। তো नमस्कार। आज इस वीडियो कॉन्फ्रेंस में विशेष रूप से उपस्थित भारतीय शिक्षण मंडल के मार्गदर्शक प्रसिद्ध शिक्षाविद माननीय डॉक्टर बीसी दास पुरकायस्थ महोदय, भारतीय शिक्षण मंडल के केंद्रीय संगठन मंत्री, निबंधकार, सुवक्ता आदरणीय श्री मुकुल कानिटकर जी, ऐतिह्यमंडित बीएन कॉलेज का माननीय अध्यक्ष सहित आयोजक मंडली और इस महत्वपूर्ण बैठक में हिस्सा लेने वाले सबको उत्तर असम प्रांत की ओर से मेरा हार्दिक प्रणाम। सिर्फ 2-4 मिनट में भारतीय शिक्षण मंडल उत्तर असम प्रांत के बारे में मैं कुछ जानकारी देना चाहता हूँ। 1990 से असम में भारतीय शिक्षण मंडल का सांगठनिक कामकाज शुरू हुआ था। भासिम का तदानीन्तन महामंत्री माननीय रामस्वरूप भरद्वाज जी के प्रत्यक्ष सहयोग से असम में ये संगठन विस्तार होने लगा। 1990 से 1994 तक असम के 10 जिले में संगठन का विस्तार हुए और 94 में राज्यिक समिति भी गठित हो गए। वर्तमान असम के 26 जिले में हमारा संपर्क है और 40 इकाई यूनिट भी गठित हुए हैं। वर्तमान शिक्षण मंडल के 7 गतिविधि निष्ठा से संगठन को आगे बढ़ाने का काम कर रहे हैं। ये 7 गतिविधि है: अनुसंधान, शैक्षिक, शालेय, युवायाम, महिलायाम, प्रकाशन और गुरुकुल प्रकल्प। गत दिसंबर महीना में उत्तर असम प्रांत का रजत जयंती बड़े धूमधाम से उद्यापन करने के लिए हम लोग उद्योग लिए थे, परंतु का विरोधी आंदोलन के रहते वो कार्यक्रम स्थगित करना पड़ा। इसके बाद अचानक उपस्थित हुए भयानक अतिमारी कोरोना। ये कोरोना काल में हम लोग सांगठनिक तथा शैक्षिक वातावरण अटूट रखने के लिए हर समय प्रयास कर रहे हैं। ये पीरियड में हम लोग 15 ऑनलाइन मीटिंग किया है। कुछ इकाई ने भी लगभग 11 डिजिटल मीटिंग किया है। पिछले 5 जून पर्यावरण दिवस में धुबरी इकाई ने भी एक अति सुंदर आर्ट कंपटीशन अनुष्ठित किए। जून महीने में बीएसएम को जानो इस विषय आधारित राज्य स्तर में 7 दिन व्यापी ऑनलाइन क्विज कंपटीशन मार्गदर्शक माननीय विभास सर के नेतृत्व में अनुष्ठित हुए। गत 18 जुलाई उत्तर असम प्रांत के तथ्य संबलित एक दृष्टिनंदन ई बुक प्रकाश नाम से रिलीज हुआ। इस ई बुक का हर परिकल्पना और प्रस्तुति विभास सर के द्वारा संपन्न हुआ। गत 26 जुलाई मार्गदर्शक डॉक्टर विभास चंद्र दास पुरकायस्थ जी के नेतृत्व में ऑनलाइन क्षेत्रीय बैठक संपन्न हुआ। इस बैठक में उत्तर असम, दक्षिण असम, त्रिपुरा, अरुणाचल, नागालैंड, मेघालय, मिजोरम और मणिपुर ने भाग लिया। पिछले 3 अगस्त संस्कृत दिवस में कुमार भास्कर वर्मा संस्कृत और पुरातन विश्वविद्यालय और उत्तर असम प्रांत के बीच में एक मेमोरेंडम ऑफ अंडरस्टैंडिंग मऊ स्वाक्षरित हुआ। यही थे उत्तर असम प्रांत का संक्षिप्त कार्यक्रम जो मैंने अभी निवेदन किया। फिर आप लोग सबको हार्दिक नमस्कार, बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद।
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your informations. Kanitkar sir, can I take few questions, sir?
Yes. Yes.
Okay,
yes,
sir.
please.
Okay, sir. Mr. Tarini Kanta Vishwas, he wanted to know that the details about B.Ed and M.Ed degree and teachers training in higher education.
The teacher training has been given a very important, much importance in this, but they have suggested that it should become a professional degree. So after 12th, one should decide, I want to become a teacher. Like he decides, I want to become an engineer or a doctor, or nowadays even lawyer. LLB is 5-year course after 12. In the same way, integrated B.Ed degree is what they have proposed, will be encouraged. And slowly this postgraduate B.Ed degree, what is after graduation, they do 2 years B.Ed, will be discontinued. So it will be 4-year B.Ed plus 1 year M.Ed, that will be there. This DLED, STC, this will take a new form, because for EC, that early childhood education and care, EC, they have given a new mandate that 12th pass student with 6 months or 1 year training certificate course can go for the pre-primary nursery and those like classes. So this education faculty will be totally revamped and it will become more professional.
Thank you, sir. Sir, one of our students, Arkajyoti Roy, he is from physics department. He put a question, sir, that sir, in the new system, can the students be able to avail the opportunities who are under the old system once the entire system changes?
It will be gradual. So there will be scope for retaining the, availing the facilities of the old thing. Those who are enrolled in the old course may continue in that. So it will all depend on the implementation at the state level and the education at the university level also. But the benefits they will not lose. Nobody will be put at harm. So it will be a gradual shifting from one system to other. It won't be. There is another question I am reading in the chat about MPhil. MPhil is discontinued. After this NEP 2020, there will be no MPhil.
Yes, sir. Sir, I have a query, sir. Can I?
Yes, please.
Yes, sir. Sir, as always, and you have also mentioned that teachers should play the key role to implement this. And I, as a teacher, I feel that I have to learn lots of things about this new pedagogy if I want to continue as a teacher. Now, sir, just I have a query that who will teach me, sir? Who is this person who can teach me as a teacher? Because there are lakhs of teachers all around the country, sir. So what that master trainer, I can say, who can train the teachers in the colleges or in schools, sir?
As I said, nobody can teach anybody. It is only learning. And once that learning attitude is formed, then the process, then anybody can teach you. Then you will learn from everything. Like Bhagwan Dattatreya learned from the nature. Satyakam Jabala learned from the cows. So once you start learning, then everybody is teacher for you. Even your child even your daughter, your son will start teaching you. Even your maid servant will teach you something new. Once you get that learning aptitude. So what is lacking today in the school education is this learning aptitude has not started. So that is there. Somebody has asked about the junior colleges. What you have said, that 11th and 12th junior colleges in private sector. That will have to change. Now this junior college, only standalone junior colleges slowly will not be there. Either they will have to start 9th and 10th also, or they will have to stop 11th and 12th and only talk about graduation and post-graduation. Either way they will have to do. Because 9th to 12th has now become 1. Earlier it was 10 plus 2, now it is 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4. So it is 4 is together. So 11th, 12th colleges will not be there. So they will have to change. Gradually, again it will not happen immediately.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Now, Bibhas sir. Bibhas sir. Bibhas sir.
হ্যাঁ বলো বলো
স্যার আপনি কি বলবেন নাকি স্যার আর?
না তুমি নিরঞ্জন রায় জিজ্ঞেস করো, আছে নিরঞ্জন রায় কিছু জিজ্ঞেস করবেন।
Somebody is asking about language. The policy does not say that in higher classes you should have English. The policy says that at least in the lower classes you must have the home language or mother tongue or the regional language as the medium. But English will be taught. English will be taught as a subject right from the childhood. But it should be avoided as a medium. And at the same time, the policy says even at the higher classes, one should have the option of Bharatiya languages, all the Bharatiya languages. So the policy in fact suggests that we should have at least an option, not compulsory, not shifting, not changes, but an option should be started that if somebody wants to become a doctor, a medical doctor, an MBBS in Akhamiya or in Bangla medium, that option should be given. That is what the policy is saying. So the policy is saying if somebody chooses not to learn English right from childhood to the professional level, that kind of an option should be there. मैं यदि केवल मराठी में ही पूरा अध्ययन करना चाहता हूँ, मराठी में ही डॉक्टर बनना चाहता हूँ, मराठी में इंजीनियर बनना चाहता हूँ, या हिंदी में या बांग्ला में या अखमिया में, उसके ऑप्शन क्रिएट करने पड़ेंगे, ऐसा पॉलिसी कह रही है. इट्स अ वेरी वेरी pragmatic, very positive looking, very flexible language policy. कुछ भी कंपलसरी नहीं किया है. इंग्लिश भी कंपलसरी नहीं किया है. अभी इंग्लिश लगभग कंपलसरी हो गया था. अभी जो पिछले 10, 12, 15 वर्ष में हम देखते हैं, क्योंकि आपको आईआईटी में जाना है तो इंग्लिश में ही पढ़ना पड़ेगा. अब ये पॉलिसी कह रही है आईआईटी में भी हिंदी का, इंग्लिश का, आईआईटी गुवाहाटी में अखमिया का ऑप्शन दो यदि कोई पढ़ना चाहता है. लेट इट बी अ चॉइस ऑफ द स्टूडेंट. अभी तुरंत नहीं होगा, पर आने वाले 5-10 वर्षों में ये भी होगा. और संक्रांत सानू नाम के एक लेखक है, उन्होंने बहुत सुंदर पुस्तक लिखी है भारतीय भाषाओं पे, एजुकेशनल टर्म के रूप में, अवश्य पढ़नी चाहिए सबको. उसमें एक बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग बात उन्होंने बताई है, यू कैन चेक इट ऑन गूगल. मैंने करके देखा है, आप भी करके देखिए. टॉप 20 जीडीपी वाले नेशंस को देखिए, कंट्रीज विद टॉप 20 जीडीपी. अमेरिका $21 ट्रिलियन जीडीपी नंबर 1, चाइना नंबर 2, जापान और ताइवान नंबर 3, भारत और फ्रांस नंबर 4, 5. आप टॉप 20 जीडीपी वाले देश ले लीजिए, इजराइल, जर्मनी, स्पेन, तो आपको पता चलेगा दे टीच इन देयर मदर टंग. उनका हायर एजुकेशन भी, जर्मनी का हायर एजुकेशन भी जर्मनी में होता है, चाइना का हायर एजुकेशन भी मैंडेरिन में, चाइनीज में होता है, ताइवान में भी ताइवानीज भाषा में हायर एजुकेशन होता है, जापान में भी पूरा इंजीनियरिंग सब कुछ जापानीज में होता है. टॉप 20 जीडीपी मदर टंग, एंड बॉटम 10, लास्ट 10 जीडीपी, नामीबिया, सोमालिया, इथियोपिया, इन देशों को आप देखेंगे तो आप पाएंगे दे आर ऑल इंग्लिश मीडियम हायर एजुकेशन. सबसे गरीब देश जो दुनिया में है वो इंग्लिश मीडियम पढ़ाते हैं, और सबसे अमीर देश जो है वो अपनी मातृभाषा में पढ़ाते हैं. तो इंटरनेशनली भी आपको यदि सक्सीड करना है तो यू हैव टू लर्न इन योर मदर टंग.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Sir, can we take more 2 or 3 questions, sir? If you allow.
Yes, please.
Sir, Jaydev Goswami asks, do you think that traditional education system makes way to professional education under the NEP 2020? Now we see mostly to job creation that holistic education being delivered.
No, you are right. Professional education is necessary, but professional does not just mean single-minded specialization. So an holistic approach is there. So there will be multiple choices of employment, not just nokri, not just job. Every student at every level, the policy is saying after 8th standard, after completing 8th standard, if somebody wants to discontinue education, that will not be encouraged. But if he wants to discontinue, he can go into apprenticeship, he can go into self-employment, he can go into some kind of work because of his family needs. And after 2-3 years, he can come back and join education again and continue education. That kind of a flexibility is given. So everybody, till 8th standard also, they say there will be some vocational training should be given in 6th, 7th and 8th. That 5 plus 3, the next 3, second 3 is there. 5 plus 3 plus 3. The third stage, which they have called preparatory stage, at that level, even that level, vocational training will be given. So if I want to become a doctor, from 6th, 7th standard, I will start giving injection like a paramedic. And from 9th to 12th, I will completely become a technician, X-ray machine, BP machine, everything. And before entering into MBBS, I will have the preliminary knowledge of medical auxiliary things. Like that, this structure is developed. So professionalism will remain, but it will be a holistic professionalism, not a single-minded specialization.
Yes, sir. Sir, another question from Dr. Gaurkrishna Saha, that NEP is revolutionary step. What about the implementation part for restructuring the institutional framework?
They have made a very good in the NEP itself. One chapter is given on implementation, how implementation will be done. So the implementation, 3 things are there. Implementation will be gradual. Again, implementation will also be participatory. All the states will participate in implementation. A program for implementation, a time-bound program for implementation is already chalked out. I think by the end of September, it will be given to the public for their suggestions also. And this is first time in any education policy for last almost 200 years, which talks about implementation more than theory. So it is a most implementable policy, and it has in itself, it has the chapter on implementation, which talks about how it will be implemented. So I think you should not worry about implementation. We should think about implementation, and we should put in our own inputs also on implementation. BSM has already started. In 8 verticals, we are preparing white papers on implementation. How to implement research part, how to implement higher education part, how to implement teacher education part, how to implement school education part, how to implement the language part, how to implement the all-inclusive part. Like in this higher education also, they have said for the socio-economically disadvantaged groups, there will be special educational zone. There will be 8 special things done by this government and 11 special things to be done by the institution. And this socio-economically disadvantaged groups, for the first time, includes the special children also, includes the Divyang, those who are deprived. So like that, not just the SC, ST and the language minorities and even the gender, girl, child, all including, they have also added this one thing about Divyang and the special childs also, special care to be taken. Then another point is for gender equality, they have created a fund, a different fund has been created. For the first time, this has happened.
Yes, thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
थोड़ा नेशनल रिसर्च फाउंडेशन का बारे में थोड़ा टच कर दिए. नेशनल रिसर्च फाउंडेशन.
Sir, I was going to talk about it in pedagogy part. The pedagogy, what I said, it is learner centric, learning centric. उसी के साथ साथ रिसर्च ओरिएंटेड पेडागोजी की बात की गई और इसलिए रिसर्च को हायर एजुकेशन के फर्स्ट ईयर से ही रिसर्च का पार्ट इंप्लीमेंट करने की बात ये एजुकेशन से ये पॉलिसी कर रही है. इवन फ्रॉम 9 to 12th स्टैंडर्ड में भी कुछ रिसर्च कंपोनेंट लाने की बात कर रहे हैं और इसलिए इस पूरे रिसर्च को भारत केंद्रित, सोशली ओरिएंटेड एंड प्रैक्टिकली एप्लीकेबल, ये 3 करने के लिए भारत में रिसर्च हो. भारत के लिए अभी 30,000 PhDs आर अवॉर्डेड एवरी ईयर. 30,000 PhD होते हैं भारत में. 30,000 में से कितना PhD समाज के काम का होता है? कितना PhD किसानों का प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व करता है? कितना PhD मजदूरों का प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व करता है? सो to think about all this and to plan for all this, they have created a national research foundation, NRF, with clear cut objectives. और सरकार इतनी सीरियस है इम्प्लीमेंटेशन को लेकर के कि पॉलिसी 29 जुलाई को आई, लेकिन NRF के लिए 200 करोड़ का फंड निर्मला सीतारामन ने फरवरी में अलॉट कर दिया था. This budget itself had a 200 crore fund for NRF. In 5 years, they will be giving 20,000 crores to NRF. 20,000 crore रुपए देकर के research will be strengthened, and this NRF will be coordinating multi-university research, mission mode research, रिसर्च एरियाज को डिफाइन करेगा, देश की आवश्यकता को बताएगा. तो आप पोस्ट ग्रेजुएशन लेवल से रिसर्च जो करते हो वो देश की आवश्यकता के लिए करने लगोगे, क्या देश को चाहिए. So this is another revolutionary step that has been taken in NRF.
Sir, বিভাস স্যার.
बोलो. ठीक है सर.
স্যার আর কিছু কেউ বলবে কিনা, or sir we can conclude it?
Ask some people from Assam University has whether they have got any query on Assam University, Arunachal Pradesh.
किसी ने कोडिंग के बारे में पूछा है, पहली कक्षा से कोडिंग सिखाने वाले हैं, वो बहुत वेलकम है. अभी जैसे साइकिल चलाना था, जैसे अपने को तैरना और चलना और दौड़ना सीखना जरूरी था, वैसे ही आने वाले समय में कोडिंग जरूरी हो जाएगा. कंप्यूटर और डिजिटल वर्ल्ड इतना सब जगह पर आ रहा है, आपके घर के अंदर घुस रहा है, आपके घर की बिजली को कंट्रोल करेगा, तो कोडिंग तो आना ही चाहिए, नहीं तो आप डिकोड हो जाओगे. इसलिए कोडिंग बचपन से सिखाना बहुत अच्छी बात, बहुत पॉजिटिव स्टेप है.
Yes sir, Vivas sir, can you conclude sir, or any more questions? I'm not getting any more questions sir.
No, there are no questions, only compliments.
It's not a question.
IIT से भी पहुंचे, सारे लोग सुन रहा था.
हाँ दादा.
शुभजीत कुछ पूछेगा, जानकारी के लिए. शुभजीत IIT से.
Sir, please unmute sir. Chaudhary sir, please unmute yourself.
Kakati sir has said he is part of the team which has been Assam government has formed for formulating the implementation. All states have formed such committees. Like I said, the implementation part is already on. सारे स्टेट्स में ऐसा कमिटी बना करके और वो इम्प्लीमेंटेशन के ऊपर डॉक्यूमेंट्स तैयार कर रहे हैं. अनफॉर्चुनेटली बहुत सारे भारतीय शिक्षण मंडल के कार्यकर्ता स्टेट में इसमें है. भारतीय शिक्षण मंडल एज एन ऑर्गेनाइजेशन इज आल्सो इनवाइटेड इन मेनी स्टेट्स. इन कर्नाटका भारतीय शिक्षण मंडल इज पार्ट ऑफ द इम्प्लीमेंटेशन. वैसे हम आसाम में भी इसके लिए प्रयास कर सकते हैं, सरकार से बात कर सकते हैं.
शुभजीत.
Yeah, namaskar to everyone. On Sunday, I had a talk with Director Sir, our Professor T.G. Sitaram Sir. He said that he is very happy with that, and our IIT Guwahati is also coordinating so that for implementation of this NEP 2020.
Okay.
Yes.
निरंजन राय, प्रोफेसर निरंजन राय.
एक सैमुअल शेख ने पूछा है कि पहले मेरे पास संस्कृत नहीं था स्कूल में, लेकिन क्या मैं कॉलेज में ले सकूंगा? यस, दैट इज द फ्लेक्सिबिलिटी इट इज गिविंग. कोई भी नहीं, आप कभी भी कोई भी सब्जेक्ट ले सकते हैं।
ओके, मेरा तो छोड़ने का मन नहीं कर रहा है, प्रश्न नहीं
Yes,
पूछ
sir.
रहा है।
Yes, sir. Me too. Want to know lots of things.
आप मुकुल जी इन लोग का बारे में BN college,
she is worried what will be happen to your MPhil will be completed, but you will have to do PhD. Your MPhil will help you in doing your research in PhD. It will, no knowledge is useless, so don't worry, it won't be worthless in your academic career. But you will have to do your PhD. That is already after 2016, UGC had said PhD is almost compulsory for almost everything. तो PhD तो करना ही पड़ेगा। MPhil वैसे ही वर्थलेस हो गया था 2009 के बाद ही, जो रेगुलेशंस चेंज हो गए थे उसके बाद में नेट से कंपल्सरी हो जाने से MPhil का महत्व वैसे ही कम हो गया।
Thank you, sir. Namaste, sir.
नमस्ते।
बोलो।
No, I
Yes, we can.
have asked that question about the MPhil.
Yes,
Because my
yes.
students are very much anxious, so I have got the answer.
Yes.
I'll tell them. Thank you,
Okay.
sir. Thank you.
Professor Shubhita Bhattacharya of Guwahati University, she is professor of Sanskrit, Guwahati University,
Yes.
based from Dhubri itself.
Yes. When we went to Dhubri, I think she also joined us. No, in Dhubri?
Yes,
No,
yes.
no, sir.
Yes, I remember that. Okay, namaskar.
हाँ.
So, sir, can we conclude, sir?
Yes, please.
Okay, so we are almost at the end of the program. I just want to quote Swami Vivekananda. He said that education is the manifestation of the perfection already in man. And the very essence of education is concentration of mind. And we believe and we hope that this National Education Policy 2020 will be able to nurture the young mind to grow intellectually and spiritually. I have just an announcement about the feedback. The feedback form will be available in our college website, www.bncollege.co.in after 7 p.m. today, and it will be active for 24 hours. Please provide your feedback. The auto-generated e-certificate will be there.
I have given my mail ID in the chat box, mukul@bsmbharat.org.
Thank you, sir.
They can connect.
So, on behalf of BN College Dhubri, I offer my sincere thanks to Dr. Bibhas Das Purokayastha sir for his help to organize this webinar. Without him, it was not possible for us to contact Mukulji. I am very true about that. So, we are thankful to Dr. Nil Mohan Rai sir for his cooperation, and I offered my heartfelt thanks to Kanitka ji for his wonderful and thought-provoking speech and accepting our invitation, because I know he is very busy. He remained very busy always. And I am thankful to all participants for their active participations. I have lots of students are participating today. And lastly, I offer my sincere thanks to Honorable Principal Sir, all my colleagues and IQAC team members, and BSM Uttarasham Prant, all the members of BSM Uttarasham Prant for their support and cooperations. Hope for a glowing India. Namaste.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you. Thank you all.
Thank you. Namaskar.